Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and we are again here with some more predictions of big predictions weekend and big pay-per-view weekend. This time it is going to be for AEW Double or Nothing, and again, this has been a pretty decent build going into Double or Nothing. We'll kind of go into it a little bit more during each of the different matches with this, but I've actually kind of been enjoying the Dynamites going into this. And honestly, again, just really enjoyable. So far, it is a 10-match card. I don't think they've done anything for the buy-in quite yet. I think all of the matches that they've announced are going to be on the pay-per-view unless they move some of them into the buy-in and go with a smaller card. That's not typically the AEW way of doing it. They usually do have larger cards for their pay-per-views, so we'll see how that plays out. But we'll get rocking right into it. First match that we're going to be going with is going to be Trent Beretta going up against Orange Cassidy. This has been playing off, well, ever since Trent Beretta decided to turn his back on Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. He's even taken out Chuck Taylor during this entire time in their parking lot brawl, and it's been reported that that may have been a career-threatening or career-ending injury. Legit on that one. I'm not sure if that's being playing up into mainly just storyline or how long that's gonna, or if that's like a full legit thing that maybe Chuck Taylor's actually done wrestling and they kind of use that match to get him out of wrestling in general. So I'm not sure how that's fully going to play out on that one. We've seen what Orange Cassidy's been kind of wanting to do with Trent Beretta ever since. They are going to be having a regular wrestling match here. I think they've had one match before, and I do feel like there's going to be some form of a stipulation down the line. I believe Orange Cassidy ended up winning that match the first time around. Though Trent Beretta has been kind of building up a decent amount of steam with everything. Now it does feel like that, with Trent here, it feels like maybe if he would get a win, it would probably end up helping him out down the line, maybe to be a feud for someone else down the line that would feel more like a credible threat. Because of what they've done with Orange Cassidy, with the international title, everything to go along with that as well. So oddly enough, I feel like, especially with how Dynamite went with, Orange Cassidy taking the pinfall in the tag team match against Roger Strong and Trent Beretta when he was teaming up with Will Ospreay. Oddly enough, I'm going to go with Trent Beretta on this one and have him pick up the victory in this particular match. Maybe setting up for something further down the line and maybe a stipulation match between the two of them down the line to go along with it. And up next is going to be for the Unified Trios Championship. It is going to be Jay White and the Gun Brothers going up against Death Triangle, Pac, Ray Phoenix, and Penta. This has been kind of being set up for quite some time. Like, you had the Guns and Jay White going after Pac for quite some time on this one. And it seems like ever since he returned, there have been questions of whether or not he was going to be teaming back up with Penta and Ray Phoenix, but he was like, no, we're going to kind of be on our own. Well, they're not going to be on their own because they're going to be going for the trios titles here. This was fully set up back on Wednesday on Dynamite. Honestly, this is probably going to be a very good trios match with this one. I don't see them taking those trios titles off of Jay White and the Guns quite yet, so that's going to be my pick for this particular match. Is it going to be a very entertaining match? I feel like that's going to be the case. Absolutely. Just look at the people who are going to be in the match and what they've been able to do so far. You kind of assume this is going to probably be a good one if given time. And up next is going to be for the FTW Championship. It's going to be Chris Jericho versus Hook versus Shibata. And honestly, I know there are people that are kind of digging the whole Jericho, the learning tree thing, where he's trying to be babyface, but he's really hated by everybody, and he's been kind of playing into the dislike and everything. I'm not really digging this particular match. Now, in terms of will it be enjoyable to watch, I think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to be a very enjoyable one. Chris Jericho's still good in the ring, considering everything. Shibata, well, he's freaking Shibata, and Hook has been showing great strides while being in the ring as well. So I'm not really worried about the quality of matches. Like, how much am I going to be really invested in watching this match based off a storyline, or also knowing that most Jericho feuds, they start and they go for 6 months at a time. Sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, but usually it's around that time frame, and that's just kind of where I've been at this point. I guess I'm kind of giving more of my opinion on this one versus what is really the story of the match. Of course, Chris Jericho changing the FTW title for the World Championship after taking it off of Hook at the last pay-per-view at Dynasty. Shibata, he had a great match with Shibata. First time Shibata had ever been in a no disqualification style match, and he killed it. It was fantastic on those ones. In terms of a prediction for this one, again, like I said, I feel like the feud continues on, but like most Chris Jericho feuds do. And I'm going to go with Chris Jericho on this one. Honestly, he's going to pick up the victory here. This is going to continue on. I kind of see the whole aspect of Hook and Shibata kind of teaming up against Jericho in the match will eventually cancel out, and Jericho will actually pick up the victory in the match. And up next, we have the AEW Women's Championship match. It is going to be timeless Toni Storm going up against Serena Deeb. And you know what? Before we fully get into everything, I think we need to be in a little bit of a different place for this. That's better. So this match has been actually a pretty interesting one with Serena Deeb and Toni Storm, because initially it felt like, Serena Deeb was going to be playing the babyface in this one and kind of explaining where she had been over the last number of years, everything to go along with that. Toni Storm was going to be heel, kind of just mocking her at every corner, but the fans really weren't having it. It feels like that they've actually pivoted back to Serena Deeb being a heel like she used to be, and just being aggressive and being great at what she does. And what we even saw at the end of the tag team match with Mariah May and Toni Storm going up against Saraya and I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head. I know her first name's Heather, so we're gonna go with Heather on this one. I'll remind myself of everything down the line with that. That's on me though. But that tag match, pretty good match, and also just the ending with Serena Deeb attacking Toni Storm, putting her into the single leg Boston Crab, using the chair to go along with that. Toni Storm, tapping out with everything. They've kind of made a pivot with this match, and now Toni Storm is the baby face, Serena Deeb is the heel. I think it's going to be a pretty good match. Do I think it is Toni Storm's time to lose this title? No, not quite yet. So I'm going to be going with Toni Storm, winning this match. And, with everything being said, let's get back to where we, are supposed to be, more in the present. So there we go. And up next, we have the International Championship match. It is going to be Roderick Strong going up against Will Ospreay. And what can I say? It's a Will Ospreay match. What can you really say more? I've actually been kind of enjoying this whole aspect of Roderick Strong going after Will Ospreay this entire time, and how Will got that match with the Casino gauntlet match as well, to get this championship match going into Double or Nothing. I do find it interesting what they're going to end up doing with this whole thing with the Undisputed Kingdom, everything to go along with that as well. What will Wardlow do in this particular match? What will the actual Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett end up doing in this particular match to go up against Will Ospreay. And how much is Don Callis going to get involved in this match as well with it? So I'm going to be in and out going because I don't have too many title changes, though I do have kind of a couple inside of here. Actually, I do have more title changes than I think. We'll get to each of those down the line with this. But I'm going to go with Will Ospreay picking up the victory here. He's going to get the International Championship. And I don't necessarily see him being in the world title picture this particular year, though I do see him being in the world title picture rather soon after this year. But I think he's going to have a decent run with the International Championship. So I'm going to go with Will Ospreay. And up next, we have a barbed wire steel cage match for the TNT Championship. It is going to be Adam Copeland going up against Malachi Black. And wait a minute, Malachi Black has a singles match? That is kind of weird. It is kind of weird. I know he did have one on Dynamite as well with everything, but we have not seen Malachi Black have many singles matches in his time in AEW. He's been kind of around with the trio side of everything with Buddy Matthews, was Buddy Murphy, and Brody King. So it's interesting to see him in this dynamic, being in a singles match. This feud has actually been pretty good as well. I have been liking this whole different aggression with Edge, and I won't say different aggression. It's pretty much Brood Edge going with everything, but you're kind of seeing more and more of that come out, and the House of Black kind of bringing more of that area out of Copeland during this entire thing. And it's the match with Brody King, the match with Buddy Matthews, both really good, and then you see a little bit more and a little bit more. Then they take the wedding ring from him, and now you saw what they did on Wednesday with the bloodbath, and well, it's pretty much going to be Brood Adam Copeland or Brood Edge to go along with it, going up against Malachi Black here. Now, basically for a winner on this one, I do think we get another title change here. And we're going to see Malachi Black pick up the victory with this one, because I feel like they're going to go a different route with the whole aspect of the House of Black. Not saying that they're going to break them up or anything to go along with that, but you're going to see maybe Brody King and Buddy Matthews being more of the tag team, and Malachi maybe is going to be more of the singles guy within their group. So I'm going to go with Malachi Black to pick up the victory on this one. I know Edge hasn't necessarily had that title for too terribly long, but I could see them basically having a shorter reign with this, based off of the matches that he's just had for that TNT Championship. Like I said, the Buddy Matthews match was great. The Brody King match was great. The Kyle O'Reilly match was great as well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Malachi Black on this. And up next, we have Jon Moxley going up against Konosuke Takeshita. And this is going to be an IWGP Heavyweight Championship Eliminator match. So it's not for the championship, though. I mean, it is New Japan's championship, so I imagine they're not just going to randomly allow AEW to book championship matches with that title. I know Forbidden Door's coming up, and more than likely that title will be defended on that show. And I'm not sure if they've even really announced who is going to be that. I know there's at least a match with Evil in New Japan set up with Jon Moxley already before Forbidden Door. So we'll see how that ends out, all playing out on this one. Now this is probably going to be a really good match. And of course, with it being an eliminator match, if Takeshita wins, he gets a title shot down the line, regardless of who the champion is. It's going to be whether or not they're going to want to book a match with Takeshita with the with the IWGP World Title on the line down the line in New Japan. I personally don't think that that's going to be the case. this feud between Takeshi and Moxley has been really, I think it's been pretty good. Takeshi is great in the ring. He's been doing pretty good in terms of setup, in terms of like what he does to attack John Moxley and everything like that. Moxley on Wednesday was like, I'm going to cut a promo. No, I'm just going to lay you out and then leave. But in terms of a winner here, again, I don't think they're going to give Takeshi a match for the IWGP Championship down the line. So I'm going to go with John Moxley to win this one. And up next, it is going to be for the TBS Championship. It is going to be Willow Nightingale going up against Mercedes Moné. And this is Mercedes' first match in AEW. Obviously, and actually her first match since she broke her ankle in that match with Willow Nightingale back in New Japan as well. They were putting on a pretty good match back then, before the whole injury ended up happening. You know, they kind of, had to work around everything that they had to work around there at that time. And it was pretty serious ankle injury to go along with it. Now, again, like I said, this is going to be Mercedes' first match in AEW. A lot of people, and even though she debuted almost 2 months ago, if not just a little over 2 months ago, she hasn't had a match yet. And like initially it was like, okay, is she going to be babyface going up against the babyface in terms of, is it going to be like the babyface dynamic? But they kind of realized what needed to happen here. And we've been, not necessarily slowly, but like by each week, Mercedes has been more and more of a heel. And then going into this match, she is full on, heel Mercedes Moné at this time. And the whole setup that they've been going with, Willow Nightingale, they basically talk about that match throughout this entire setup. The contract signing was really good with Willow throwing, or not throwing, but putting Mercedes through the table with the Doctor Bomb on this. And as I mentioned before, it's Mercedes' first match in AEW. We've got another title change here. I'm going to go with Mercedes Moné to win this match and take that TBS title, because they've been kind of already playing off that, she does the red carpet. She does all this. She's going to be the face of TBS to go along with everything. So I feel like Mercedes is going to win this one. And up next is going to be for the AEW World Championship. It is going to be Swerve Strickland going up against Christian Cage. And, even though this is more likely not going to main event the show, and I know it's, the world title, typically you want that to main event the show, Double or Nothing necessarily hasn't always been that particular pay-per-view where that does happen. And even though people were like, okay, this doesn't feel like it should be a main event feud, honestly, it does feel that way. Like, Christian and Swerve have been working their asses off on this one, getting this one over. Their segments have been fantastic. The whole setup between, Swerve thinking he's going to have the Mogul Embassy along with him, even though he's gone, full on babyface. They have not. They were still going to team up, but they have been playing this whole thing off more, that I guess they play it off a little bit more like the Elite has been helping out Christian to a certain degree on this side of everything, because you have been seeing Swerve kind of interact with the Elite ever since the whole TK Driver to Tony Khan weeks ago. And Swerve has even made mention to not liking the Elite because of that, and you've seen like an interaction between those two sides this entire time. And then you have Christian Cage setting up everything with his family. You have Mother Wayne, you have Kill Switch, you have Nick Wayne. They've been kind of doing a little bit here and there. They took out Prince Nana at one point, but he ended up returning on Dynamite this week. So you're going to have that whole aspect. Nana's going to be back in Swerve's corner for the pay-per-view. And of course, you're going to have Christian's family in his corner as well. So you have that whole dynamic in there. In terms of a winner here, I don't think Christian Cage is really going to be getting that AEW championship. I do think they keep this on Swerve Strickland. My pick is going to be Swerve Strickland because he just won that title last month. And in the terms of that, in the terms of the on AEW side, they normally don't do those title changes super quickly when it comes to their world championships. So a month-long reign just doesn't seem like it would be a good idea for Swerve in this case. So Swerve Strickland is my pick. And up next will be more than likely the main event of the show is going to be Anarchy in the Arena. It is going to be Team Elite. It is going to be the Young Bucks, Okada, and Jack Perry going up against Team AEW, which is going to be comprised of FTR, Bryan Danielson, and somehow he's healed up Darby Allin at this point. The guy just got a broken foot about 2 months ago and then hit by a bus a few weeks later, and somehow he's okay for Anarchy in the Arena. Okay, I think we have found the modern day Wolverine at this point to go along with it. Now, this setup has actually been quite good. Like the whole thing with the Elite, setting up everything, attacking Tony Khan, attacking Kenny Omega, while he was, with illness and illness with diverticulitis and everything to go along with that. It's all been really good in that, and then you have the whole aspect of them taking over the show, and you have this little battle. It's like technically Tony Khan's running it from from remotes, but the Elite are there, so they're just making changes and doing things kind of willy-nilly and running the show. It's actually been a nice little dynamic. I know they don't typically do something like this in AEW in terms of like a power struggle, and I hope to a certain degree I've been enjoying that nice little change, but I hope it's not something that lasts for too terribly long. I kind of do want to see them do some kind of for the control of AEW in a rather quick manner, whether it's a blood and guts match or something like that. Though the whole building of Team AEW with it has been kind of nice as well. You kind of expected FTR in there. I wasn't necessarily expecting Bryan Danielson to be inside of that one, though they did come up with a decent little story, saying is like how much he liked being here and everything. So when he saw what the Bucks were doing, it's like, no, that I'm not gonna have that. And initially it was gonna be Eddie Kingston, like even to the point that Danielson was willing to team up with Kingston to do this because they've been butting heads the entire time. But Eddie Kingston unfortunately did receive a broken leg in his match in New Japan, so he got replaced by a returning Darby Allin. And again, how is that guy cleared at this point? Just based off of what he's going through. And then you go with it's like, oh, Darby Allin's back. And then you're thinking in your head, it's like, wait a minute, Darby Allin's back in Anarchy in the Arena. Something crazy is probably going to go down here with this one. You even saw that with his where he got into the arena on Wednesday night when Tony Khan drove him into the arena to allow him in, and he was wielding a flamethrower to go along with it. And it's going to be one of those things. Is like, does that particular object play a role into this one? I'm not necessarily certain with that. In terms of picking a winner for this, I'm just with how it finished off on Wednesday night, I'm going to go with Team Elite on this one. I'm going to go with the Elite to pick up the victory here. They're going to continue on with what they're going to be doing, and then I guess we're going to be seeing kind of a power struggle dynamic because it looks like Tony Khan's going to be showing back up at the shows now. So it's going to be an interesting little dynamic to see what they have after Double or Nothing. And yeah, it should be a pretty good one to go along with it. Again, it's Anarchy in the Arena, so it's going to probably go all over the place with this one. And yeah, that is all the matches for AEW Double or Nothing. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you so wish, and if you do want to as well, leave your predictions down in the comments below. And with that being said, I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of your day.